I look at shame in similar ways as Sara Ahmed does. I find as an object. I find the idea provocative and compelling. As such, I'm interested in shame as an energetic object with flow and movement that circulates in your environment, that's attracted to other like objects, which, if already accumulated in the auric field, in and around you, then it will only find you more, right? And at a greater intensity if it's already attracting around you. Does that make sense? And so if you think of energy, if you think of, I use this analogy of marbles. Let's just say shame, objects of shame are different. Let's say it's yellow marbles, right? But it's invisible marble and it's circulating. They're just flying through the air. You can't see them. But if shame is yellow marbles, fear is blue marbles, then it finds like objects yellow. I don't know. Work with me, stay with me, or not. You can click off. But it will find other like objects, right, in the environment. And that's just like a really juvenile way of saying it, explaining it to a second grader. And that's probably not actually how emotions work either. But that's how I'm thinking of it, working through the psychic fields, right? And so when you say shame on you, it's like throwing a yellow marble at somebody, right? You're hoping that they already have yellow marbles all around them, and then you're throwing more. And I use the analogy of marbles because it hurts. A marble will hurt, right? It's like paint gun. It will hurt when it comes on you. It's physically painful. So that's the only analogy. That's why I'm thinking of it, because it's when you accumulate a lot of marbles, it's heavy, right? It's dense. It will hurt you. So said differently, if you're a person who society frames as shameful, let's say you're black or you're a woman or you're, First Nations, you're a person of color, you're queer, you're trans, you're poor, you're disabled, you're fat, you're neurodivergent, like any of these different categories where society says that these people are supposedly shameful. If you found yourself in these things, it's more likely that you might be accumulating more yellow marbles. And that's not because you were born with a lot of yellow marbles. It's just because people over the years have been hurling, just inundating you with yellow marbles. You weren't born with those yellow marbles, but they will throw it at you, right? And so now when I say that these, like, a black person is said to be shameful, again, it's not because they are inherently shameful. It's because they've accumulated so many yellow marbles, so much shame from outside of them. It didn't come from inside of them. It's something that's external. And now they're carrying all of this heavy density. So when we say shame on you, this is how I'm thinking of it. We're hoping that these people accumulate all of this density, that it physically makes them sick. Shame is all about stagnancy. You cannot move the same way. It immobilizes you, right? And so it actually it's like this energetic thing that manifests physically as harm, as death, as suicide, as illness, as disease, as mental illness. So that's what I wanted to say. This is tied to Mbembe's idea of necropolitics. So Lauren Berlant's slow death. Shame is fatal, it hurts, it injures. Historian Peter Stern says that some Japanese cultures were said to have considered shame as a force that crushes. I agree. In my pelvic bone, in my low back, in the sciatic nerve, you can attest to this, right? That shame or different emotions are connected to the physical, to our health. That's not to say it's the only way, but it is definitely tied to it, right? And to pretend that that's not something that's happening or to say that, like, it's a spiritual community of saying that emotions cause health. Well, like, yes and no. Science is proving that emotions are tied to our health, that trauma is tied to illness, right? So, anyways, yeah, even white conservatives in America are now saying that shame has health consequences, and they're creating a whole ban, right? If we look at the critical race theory bans, it's because parents are saying, why are you making our children feel this shame? All of a sudden, they recognize that that emotions make people uncomfortable to the point where it might cause them mental illness. It causes them distress, is what they're saying. We don't want these things being taught in our schools because it's causing our children distress. Tell us more about how that works. Because when we were saying that, you were saying that we were being sensitive and over dramatic and it didn't work. But now, all of a sudden, that your kids are learning about things that might cause them to feel some shame and discomfort. All of a sudden, you understand that emotional distress is real. That it causes depression and anxiety. Oh, wow. We had no clue. So they're not wrong. It's just they never cared when the rest of us were saying the same thing, right? If this resonates, please pass it along and share it with others. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Like others, my words are they're just not meant for you, and that's okay. And it's often the ones that are not meant for it that will watch it, and the ones that are meant for it, they're like, we already know this. And that's life. If you want to donate to my PayPal, you're free to do it. D Archives. I'm also on Buy Me a Coffee. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time.